I'm going to talk a little bit about what proofing is, why we should change our mindset about proofing, and what other options there are for us as dog owners in order to help our dogs understand more clearly exactly what we want from them. When we say the word proofing, what comes to mind is proofreading. And what are you doing when you're proofreading? You're looking for mistakes, right? You're looking for errors. When we were proofing our dogs, that's exactly what we were doing. We were testing how well the dog understood what we taught them. And if they failed, let's say we asked them to sit and we bounced a ball and they failed, we would first say, and then we would give them a light little pop on the collar and repeat the cue, sit. That's what you were supposed to be doing. And we'd bounce the ball again. And if they made a second mistake, we might pop them again, maybe a little harder. Sit. Like, what's going on here? You know this. And unfortunately, sometimes we'd assume the dog is being stubborn because they know what that sit means. They know what stay means. Why are they choosing not to do what we're asking? Those of you who've listened to this podcast, you realize that today, I know dogs are always doing the best they can with the education that we've given them in the environment we've put them in. So if they don't do what we expect, that means our expectations are higher than the level of education we've given the dog in the environment that we've put them in. And so who's at fault here? Does the dog need a correction when they really have done nothing wrong? It's the trainer who put them in that position. And so proofing is a word, and people are going to say, oh, Susan, this is semantics. But proofing has a literal meaning for our subconscious brain. And that's the approach we are going to take if we are decidedly going into a proofing stage. So, okay, Susan, what else can we do? My mentor, Bob Bailey, he always says we want a behavior to be 80% successful before we introduce a new distraction. So a distraction, if you go to podcast episode number 24, I go into great detail my distraction index and how I go about generalizing behavior by including individually things like different distractions, the bouncing ball, the kids on skateboards, the kids on bicycles, all of those challenges that our dog is going to learn to ignore when we generalize correctly, because it all turns into what I call environmental neutrality. All of those things are white noise because you've asked me to do something. I can do that. It doesn't matter. Go back to Dr. Zeus. I can do it in a house. I can do it with a mouse. I can do it here or there. I can do it anywhere. That's a dog who is generalized and have gone from a place of acquisition to a place of fluency. We do it by introducing one element at a time, evaluating, do we have 80% with that element, and then introducing a new element. Again, it could be distance. It's all in podcast episode number 24 for you. It could be, I'm going to move 6 feet away. My dog is good with that. I'm going to come back and reward. Then I'm going to try it again. Now, 80% success, that could be a little bit intangible or a little bit abstract for you to grasp. And so behavior and dog training, great, and fellow Canadian, Jean Donaldson, I'm going to claim her for our own, even though she's lived in the United States for the last couple decades. But you know what, Jean? Canadian at heart. Jean Donaldson has this great little method for anyone to remember how to get to 80% with their dog. And she calls it push, stick, or drop. And it goes like this. Any behavior that you want to help generalize for your dog, you're going to do one set. One set is 5 repetitions of you cueing the dog using one of your power words. Let's say it's sit. You ask your dog to sit. You evaluate the latency, the criteria, the speed. And if it's yeah, that was a good one, then obviously you're going to reward them, break it off, do it again. You're going to do 5 repetitions of the same behavior under the same conditions. Good science, people. You're not mixing it up. You're only changing one thing at a time. 5 repetitions, and you're going to evaluate. And so if you get 4 out of those 5 repetitions a check, like yes, I got the latency, I got the criteria, I got the speed I wanted, it's a check. 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, then that's a push, meaning you push to another layer of distraction. You introduce another element of distance, duration, or distraction. If you get 3 out of 5, then that is a stick. That is not enough information for you to decide one way or another. So you're going to do another set of 5 and see if that changes. And if you only get 2 out of 5 or 1 out of 5 or 0 out of 5 correct under your current environmental conditions, then that is a drop, my friend. You will just go back to an easier level and ask your dog the same question. Now, you could say, well, why would I drop? I don't want to drop. I just want to keep moving forward. All right, you've done 5 sits in your kitchen. You've done 5 sits in the living room. You've done 5 sits in the bathroom. My dog got 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 every single time. By the time we were done, 5 out of 5, 5 out of 5. Yeah, no problem. Okay, now let's take your water-loving Labrador to a busy park. Have your dog sit 25 feet from the water while the kids are screaming and splashing in the water and skateboarders and bicycles are going by, and you ask your dog to sit and you walk over to see what the water is like. Is your sit for duration going to be as good as it was in your 5 other locations? Just because your dog has been perfect in the environments you have been trying him in doesn't mean you have the right to expect him to be perfect in all environments. Take, for example, somebody who lives in a tropical island, a beautiful tropical island like the Philippines, beautiful tropical island, and they drive there. And they've been driving in the Philippines their entire life, 10 years experience of driving in the Philippines. Hey, they've got some pretty horrific storms that they have to drive in, the rain, the torrential rain, and the bright sunny lights, and some overcast days. I imagine they would get some fog. I don't know. I've never been to the Philippines. All that experience. Now, if they were to come and visit me in, say, March, and they had to drive in the snow, and my criteria is you got to maintain the speed on the highway. In the Philippines, you can drive 100 kilometers an hour. Why can't you drive 100 kilometers an hour when you get to Toronto and it's in the middle of a blizzard in March? That's because the environment changed. So should our expectations of behavior be the same? No. You need to train the dog in front of you in the environment that the dog is in. You need to look for 80% success. And just because he could do it yesterday, there are so many things that could influence behavior. You just need to trust the dog and train the dog in front of you. Looking at where you are in your process of generalization and no, you're not there yet. Push, stick, or drop. Clear information on how to work through that confidence building generalization. This is a brand new way at looking at sharing the joy of dog training with your dog.